Kumlen Ablat Gemara. Today's daf is daf Tzadik Tes. We're actually up to the bottom of the page on the Chesed base. The Gemara says about 5 lines from the bottom of the page. We're still continuing talking about what's going to happen in the era of Mashiach. Omer Avinu Rav. Avinu said the name of Rav. Osid HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lahamid David Ach. There will be another David in the future. Mashiach. Shenemar, it says in the pasuk, the Ibdu Sashar came, David Malcolm Asher Okim Lehem. You'll serve Hashem and David that I will establish in the future. But this is said by Yirmiyah. What do you mean in the future? Heikim Lehem okay, in the future. I mean Mashiach ben David. It says that David himself will be the leader forevermore. So what's pshat? There'll be another David. So the Gemara in case of a public case, there's a case and there's a vice case, the deputy, and the second in charge. David HaMelech will be the second in charge, and Mashiach will be in the lead. What was due? Hamisavim es Yom Hashem. You're waiting for the day of Hashem. Why are you waiting? Yom Hashem, the day of Hashem is a day of darkness, not a day of light. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the goyim that they want also in Mashiach. But before, most of the you have a rooster, the outleaf, and a bat. They're both waiting for the morning to come, and it should be light outside. So the rooster said to the bat, I can see in the light, so therefore I have a benefit from having the light. What are you waiting for? What are you going to do with the light? You can't see in the daytime anymore at night. So the same thing about goyim. What are you waiting for Mashiach? That won't be any different to you. This Apokayim said to Rabavu, Mashiach, when Mashiach coming, it will be totally dark for you. Why are you cursing me out? I'm not cursing you. I'm just telling the facts. It says darkness will come. Will be very dark for the nations. For the Eden, and you, Hashem will shine and you will see Hashem's honor. Time you learn about how many days Mashiach is 40 years and then followed by Tchias and Mason. It says in Pasuk, Aboyim Shana Okad B'Doir. When we say every Friday night, now Aboyim Shana Okad 40 years you hold us. That's talking about the time of the Midbar. But now we're saying also that's talking about the future. Okad also could mean future tense. Rabbi Loza Shim Shana. 70 years will be Yemaisa Mashiach before Tchias and Mason. How do I know that? Shenemar says, "V'hoya bayem will be on that day. V'nishkachat tzoi Yeshiv Mishana be forgotten third. Sorry, from Lebanon for 70 years. Kimei Melech Echad, like the reign of one king. 70 years. That what happened was that Chirim helped build the base of Migdal, but then as when Melech passed away, he turned against. We have turncoat, and he killed Eden. A number of Eden, and he harmed us. So therefore, he'll be punished for 70 years in Lailo. So we're talking about also the 70 years. Who would reign at 70 years? Mashiach. And who's this unique king that he's the only one? And he's the most chashuv. Mashiach. That's Mashiach. So Mashiach is also considered a melech. Rebbe says, in fact, Shalosh Adoidus, the length of 3 generations. How do I know that? Shenemar. It says in Pasuk, I will be seeing in Shemesh with the sun. And we learned yesterday that one of the names of Mashiach is Yanon Lifnei Shemesh Yanon Shmoi, so that he has to do with the sun. Lifnei Yarech, and before the moon. And we know that the Malchus is compared to the moon because it says like the moon, I'm going to set you, establish you. So that's so it says you're 2 generations, the moon, 1 generation, the sun. That's 3 generations total. 3 generations be Moshe Mashiach before Tchias and Mason. Because they already used up all the benefit of Mashiach. They already enjoyed it in times of Chizkiah HaMelech. So Rashi says, he doesn't mean that we're Mashiach. He means the Eibush himself will take us out. Other Hashem have a problem with that. First of all, look at the next line. Whoa, he should be. Yeah, exactly. The Eibush should forgive him. And he said regarding the second base of Migdash, and this is way after Chizkiah, he says, Gili ma'od bastian, and we'll be very happy. Your king will come. I was just talking about Mashiach, the Tzaddik, and Benoisha, who, and he'll help out. It'll be a poor person riding a donkey, Val Ayah ben Asainas, on a baby donkey as well. So what do you call it? So how can you say the Mashiach? So other Rishonim therefore don't want to at all. They're just saying that the reason why Yabisha attacked him and everything else is because it sounded like he believed Mashiach already came. Chizkiah Melech came. The Ran says that
Melech wasn't only the
exactly. So therefore, they're saying that's why we're screaming. The Ran says what he meant was there's no Yemais Mashiach because Chizkiah will be straight away. And in fact, the Gemara in Yuma, and we had in traces in Arif Sachim, that some people will come back straight away. Moshe and Aaron will come back straight away to guide us. Some of the tzaddikim will come back straight away, like a pshara between Hillel and us. So the Ran saying that Hillel holds that there will be Moshe Mashiach, there won't be any Moshe Mashiach. That is not Mashiach. Go straight into Tchias HaMesim. In Kabbalah and Chassidus, we assume that 40 years will be Moshe Mashiach, and then it'll be Tchias HaMesim. Two different madrigas. Time we learned either it says here, and when I gave you the month, it says when I gave you the month and I might cause you pain and hunger and so on. Make us happy at least. The same amount of time that you made us suffer. The time that we saw bad, since we saw bad 40 years, Mashiach should be 40 years. But 400 years. 400 years, we suffered. So we're comparing the 40 years we spent in the Midbar, times of suffering, and on the one hand, the Midbar was the best of times, but also the worst of times. This is right here, and that's how long Mashiach should come for. And the other one says the 400 years that we were promised, and even though we weren't 400 years in the time, just the fact that we knew it would be 400 years, that alone caused us to suffer. Rebbe says, Gimom Meyos V'Shishim V'Chamesh Yishana, 365 years, Kimin Yemazachama, the length of the year. The length of the year. That I am going to take revenge for the days in my heart. And in other words, in the eating 40 days, the Meraglim went into the Midbar, and every day became a year. So therefore, if a day is a year, punishment, so that if for 365 days become 365 years. So the year of my redemption will be, each day will be equal to a year, but each day is a year. So therefore, 365 years. That's just the last narrow line. Yeah. There is another version of this Gemara that not 365 years, but 365,000 years. Now, what does that mean when we said before that the world will only last for 6,000 years? So either this argues, even 365 years, we already have less than that for 6,000. We're now 5,785. It's already less than 365 years or less than 400 years. So, because some of the Shainim say, nobody argues on a buy-in of continuing so the world will be 6,000 years. Here, right here, you're arguing. Unless when they say years, it doesn't mean literally years, it means a long time. Anyhow, what do you mean? What do you mean? You're not going to believe me? The day that's in my heart. I'm going to be able to but not to my limbs. Obviously, it's looking at my limbs. As you know, the Ram and the Rabbit in the beginning, if you can use any gashmistic adjectives to describe the Eibishter. Rav Shimon Lakish, Libi Galisi, Malachi Ashad is like Galisi. To my heart, I revealed it, but not to my Malachim, not that I didn't say it, I didn't even reveal it to the Malachim. He says Yemais Mashiach will be 7,000 years. Here, another opinion seems to argue between the Bash. Remember, it says in the pasuk, like the Chassan rejoiced in the Kala, Yosef rejoice with you. Chassan Kala Shiva. 7 is what do you call it? It's 7 days, and a day, Yom Kel of Shana. So therefore, it's 1,000 years. The days of Mashiach is the time as many years as we have without Mashiach. That's how many years we have with Mashiach. And it says, just like the others, whatever we went through, so the Shemaim also, which is Mashiach will come, will be the same thing. I'm not going to come Kimei Noach at Hashem time of Noach till today. It says Kimei Noach. It says Kimei Noach Zoisli. That I swore. So therefore we say, just like the day of Noach, that as Hashem swore that he's no longer going to make a mabel and the world will continue to exist the way it's supposed to be. So I swore that cheshbon will also be when Mashiach will come. And I won't destroy it until the end of that time. So I like the two shvuos, one the world the way it is now, and the one the world Mashiach will come, I won't destroy. Which they argue with Rabbi, like, unless we say the same thing, doesn't mean literally. We have the Rambam, that all the Nevi'im, when they talk about all these grand things, they're talking about in the times of Mashiach. When it comes to Olam Haba, which is the Machlekes, the Rambam and Rambana, we're referring to the period of post Chizah Mason, we're referring to Gan Eden, that nobody else has a clue of what exactly is going on in Olam Haba. And you'll give it to them, to those who are hoping in you and waiting for it. Or this argument of Shmuel, no, but just saying these grand things will happen always in Mashiach. This argument of Shmuel, we read Bracha and Shabbos. No changes whatsoever. The only thing is, we'll no longer be under the thumb and the hegemony of other people. All the people didn't say the reason only for Baal Tshuva. Tzadikim Kemurim. This is Ayin Leiras the greatest madreg is a tzaddik gomer. This argues about Mokish Baal Tshuva Einim, where Baal Tshuva can be tzaddikim. Now in our version, it just says tzaddikim Einim Einim. They don't stand. Remember, it says Shalom Larochik. First, he says Larochik, those who were far away and came close. Ulakorim, those who are close. First, they were far away because they did Avedis, and then they did Tshuva and they came close. My Rochik Dimikara, or my Kara Dimikara. So are higher than Tzadikim.
They're the ones who have them as well, not about them.
No, he's saying here when it says in the pasuk that Ayin Leiras Olakim, and we don't appreciate the Maila. So one day is we don't appreciate Maila of Tzadik Gamma, we don't appreciate Maila about Tshuva. Now the Rambam actually Pascal Babu is about Tshuva. And the Rambam and the Rebbe always calls the Rambam adds a word that Tzaddik Gemur ein Yechoylin Lamed, not just ein Lamed, ein Yechoylin Lamed, can't even don't even have the potential. That Vaz writes an interesting thing. They all ask how can the Rambam Pascal Babu? So the Vaz writes in the Chuvas that the Rabbi Yecher and Babu don't argue. Either some say, like in our Gemara, Rabbi Yecher is talking about Tzaddik Gemurim, Rabbi Babu is talking about Tzaddikim. But if you look on the side, there was a gis and many that Tzaddik Gemurim well seems to be arguing. So the Radvaz says an amazing thing. I don't think I ever saw that according to the Radvaz. The Radvaz says that Rabbi was not arguing. He's saying, you're right, Tzaddik was the greatest thing. But a Tzaddik Gomer who did an Aveda and then did Tshuva, he's the greatest of them all. And then the famous question that the Rebbe always talks about, and it says that if a person says that, tells his wife, I haven't Gemara Kedushin, you marry me, I'm an Ashadi Tzaddik. It's Safik Kedushin, Safik Kedushin, because maybe Shemihina B'Tshuva. He can do Tshuva in a second. So the Rebbe asked, but he did Tshuva, he's about Tshuva. About Tshuva is greater than a Tzaddik. Remember we had over there, if he said I'm poor, turned out to be he's rich, Lav Dafka, according to one opinion, he's not married because maybe she doesn't want a rich match. She only wants somebody who lives closer to her level. So how can about Tshuva thing be greater? Anyway, but those who say that about Tshuva is yeah. Anyway, others say about Tshuva means after if he did Mama's Tshuva b'chol liba, it's a higher madrig of Tshuva as well. So different ways we're trying to reconcile everything. Saying about it further, sorry. Rabbi Yechon was that pasuk. Rochik means a tzaddik because he's far away from Aveda. Not that he did far from Torah. And Kodesh means you're Kodesh me Aveda. That is closer to his about Tshuva. It's Rachi Gimel. Then he distanced himself from the Avedas, he became about Tshuva. So he holds that tzaddik between about Tshuva. Everyone talks about a person, all these wonderful things and these credits of somebody who makes sure that, not that he is self a Talmid Chacham, but his daughter marries a Talmid Chacham. Remember, having a you should make sure that you marry a daughter Talmid Chacham because the husband dies and he's not modest. What's the kid going to learn? What kind of children you have? You do business for Talmid Chacham, and it actually says with the money of the Talmid Chacham, and you help out the Talmid Chacham from your assets, become a partner or something, help him make sure he learns. That the Rambam doesn't really actually grade as this little piece of the Gemara, and that is because the Rambam Shitasi holds that a rabbi should be working for himself and he should not live off the community. Even though many argue the Rambam, and the world today we don't follow the Rambam. How about Talmid Chacham Atzmon? But Talmid Chacham itself, but Talmid Chacham, nobody can understand the greatness of Talmid Chacham. My Ayin Leros, when he doesn't say Rabbi Levi, like Yain Hamashum Ba'anov Mesheshim Mebreshis, like the wine that is sitting in the grapes of Mesheshim Mebreshis. Just like we don't really appreciate the special quality of that wine until you extract it, but while it's in the grape, you don't see it. Same in Talmid Chacham, we don't appreciate their value. We're talking about Aiden. Nobody know what Aiden is. Ayin, Adam live in Aiden. He lived began. Began who Aiden the garden, and Aiden is not the same thing. No, Tamalim is another possible. No, Aiden lahashkis is a gan. that this is learning some above, that a river goes out of Eden and it flows to the garden. The garden means the Garden of Eden is not the Eden itself. And that no one knows. But then the Mishnah says the following people have no chelik in Olam Haba. Someone who says Toider loy min hashemayim. So we learn in the pasuk in Bishlach, Kidvar Hashem Bozer. You insulted the words of Hashem. So what is that? Midrash Bozer mitzvah heifa, and you just broke the mitzvahs. He cut his tikkos, double cut. We had a thing before. If we say Dibra Torah B'Shalom Akiva, if we say the Torah just double talk, double speak, or actually you cut from this world and cut from the world to come. So we're saying that when you insult the words of Hashem, if you say the Torah is not from Shemayim, what do you got down and said was mitzvah heifa the hamei bris boss. If a guy person removes the bris that he made and he cut it from hazit, he cut it to elam hav. Mekan amar blazer amar blazer amadoi hamachalas a kachim. Somebody desecrates kachim, for example, is tamei needs truma. Vamavaz es hamoidas, he insulted moidas. Big machlekes what it means the insult. We actually have it in Kriyos. So Rashi says you treat the chalmoid lightly. And other Rishonim say, like the Rambam, it's talking about Yom Tov itself. And the Chareim say the Machlekes is totally not working on Chalamoid is Mahatoira. According to Rashi, not working on Chalamoid is Mahatoira. And therefore, people don't take it seriously. Yom Tov nobody works, but on Chalamoid, people don't take it seriously. So that's what it means, Hamavazes Hamoidus. And the Rambam holds that not working on Chalamoid is only the Rabbanan. So therefore, Mavazes Hamoidus must be referring to Yom Tov itself. Others say that nothing to do with that. It's of course it says I'm a fazels, I'm a chalos amoidus, which if we be talking about Yom Tov, you use the word mechal, mechal Shabbos. By saying I'm a vaza means that it's doing something. It's talking about something not as strict. So that's what it's called. We also add in if you're Malbin, your friend. If you insult somebody, can you ask Mechila? Of course, you ask Mechila, but to take away that vein or not, and because we had Tosha says that a Malbin just like murder. And the Tosha asks, so why don't we count it the 3 Avedas a person should die for? One of them should be a 4th Aveda. You shouldn't embarrass somebody. Tosha answers, it's included in the murder. Now, by murder, you can do Truma Haim Morgan, you can't undo what you did. So maybe Malbim Bnei Chaveda, they say also you cannot undo what you did. And of course you have to ask Mechila to mitigate whatever you did, ameliorate. Tell you one of the Brayzik. Tomorrow I was in the trade in the Shema. Ain't there Shema no trade? I feel I'm going to the Shema. I'm chutz from pasuk. The whole trade of Shema. Chutz one pasuk. So I'm a Kosh Baruch Hu. Elam Moshe Piyat Zel. Because why buzz? Even though we look more Megillah, that's Chumash Dvarim said by Moshe himself, but that's obviously Shchirim Zaberes. But feel I'm a call out trade cool in the Shema. Even says the entire trade of Shema. Chutz mediktik zeh mekabel chayim. This kabel chayim, or this gzeder shabazu, or this gzeder shabbat that he said I don't believe this gzeder shabbat. He's insulting the words of Hashem. Let me tell you, if you learn Torah, you don't teach the others. You know that if you don't share your knowledge with others, that's Dvar Havai Baza. Interesting that Rambam, when he counts the mitzvahs for Talmud Torah, doesn't talk about teaching. Yeah. Even though in Krishma says we should not tell Menachah, talks about teaching, and Rashi says Talmidim, but even take literally in your teaching. Rambam says Kol Mishnah Mashgiach Al Mishnah. It's somebody who doesn't take Mishnah seriously. That's called what we call Dvar Baza. And the Royal Kol She'efsher La'asi V'Torah Ve'ina Oisi. If you learn Torah, you don't learn. I remember we have an opinion in Gemara of the Royal May, Gemara in Erev Gimel. And the Royal May is the same person. We have a number of places where May and the Royal argue with each other, like the last Mishnah Kedushin, and right here. Then the Royal says, I'm just adding another thing. If you could learn Torah and you don't learn, one thing in teaching, other thing is that if you could and you're not learning as enough, you also Dvar Baza. Shmuel says you worship Avodah Zarah. My mashmor the Torah Bishmol Dvar Baza Mavaza Dibur. Why is Avodah Zarah from all Avedas? Because you Mavaza the words of Hashem. The only words that we directly heard from Hashem was the first 2 commandments. Anoichi and Le'ilecha. So therefore, that's Avodah Zarah. If you learn Torah, you don't repeat, you don't revise it. As if you plant, but you're not harvesting. What happens to the seeds? They just die. I'll be sure anybody learns Torah and forgets it, doing the effort to make you remember it. You give birth, so it's like a stillborn. You have to bury straight away. Kiva says, It's like a song that you love. The Rashi learns over here, a song that you love. You sing it every single day, no matter how many times, even though you know the tune already. So too, the Shechazi you're learning all the time. Taisha is the very end of Megillah. The end of Megillah it says, "Kol HaKodev, whoever learns Torah, beloy ni'im without a gishmak, and Kol Hashayin, whoever learns Torah, beloy zemer without singing." It says that you don't enjoy my mitzvahs. Taisha says that when you learn Mishnayos, you should learn it in a song. I remember having Melamdim when I was a kid growing up, and we learned Tanakh. Gemara that had a special Tanakh, a special song. It wasn't just saying words. It was a song. Okay, true. But I tell you last time, the Torah says that's why we don't change the Chsuri Mechzos, because once they memorize, Tesha says in Megillah, that's how they memorize the Mishnayos, through song. That's what he says. His next edition is. That's why they want to change anything, because once you chazer a song one way, it's very hard to get it out of your mind and change it. It says in Pasuk, Nefesh Amal Amalaloy. If you work hard, Amalaloy, that's what you're working on, will work with you, because you saddled around your mouth. You work in this place here, and the Torah will work for you in another place. In other words, that the Torah will make sure that you remember the Torah. And Rashi adds very interesting. Torah, when the Torah will work for you. So Rashi says here that since you're trying to learn Torah, and the Torah will ask the Eibishter to give you over the secrets of the Torah and the order of the Torah. Why? Because you made it part of your mouth, above your nakla. This is what your life is about Torah. Therefore, the Torah also wants you to be able to be matzliach and learn deeper. Every person was created for work. You know, it says, a person was created in order to work. I don't know what it means, whether it means amal peh or means amal malach. It means person working, hazor means learning. That I sat you learn your mouth. You were talking about learning. This part is hard to understand. And in the Sikha never talks about it. What do you mean? Hey, we don't know if it means Torah or means Dvarim B'Teilim. You were created to learn Torah all the time. I don't remember. I remember that brings up the Sikha. I can't remember. Just couldn't have a chance to look it up. I know what other cool good for the every person is there to work. That every person works very hard, but if you're zeiche, your work will be in understanding and learning Torah. And Baruch Hashem gave us so much to learn Chitas and Rambam. Everything else, we definitely spend a lot of time learning Torah. Says the Gemara further. Said the passing, somebody desires other women is lacking seichel. This is talking about somebody who's learning Torah from occasionally. It's as if he's not married, and one day he goes this wife, one day goes that wife. It says when is it something that you keep, you retain, that when you establish it, always on your lips? In other words, you should have a shir every day. A kriyas benefesh. So when we learn, Menashe has to be Menashe ben Chizkiah. This is talking about Menashe ben Chizkiah. As we'll see later in the Gemara, Machlekes, whether he did tshuva or he didn't do tshuva, because he was 33 years king later as well, afterwards, all up to his 52 years or something like that. It says, and anyone who such an open, brazen way, he used to poke fun his initial period of the Torah. Amr said, what the world do we need to know that the sister of Leitzon was Timna? If it seemed like what do you need to know that? What do you all these kind of things? And he found the dime, jazz, whatever it was in the field. Why do we need to know that? What's the relevance? What he was looking for in the field? And a bunch of other things that the Torah writes things that we don't need to know. And everyone quotes you the Rambam writes every single word of the Torah is full of secrets. Some of them were zeicher to understand, and some of them weren't. It's like basically him and came out and says, Teishev Teishev ba'achicha tedaber benimcha titten deifi ela sisiri lecharashti. The Misa say you can make achicha vertchalei nechap. Well, I thought I'd be like you and listen to where you're poking fun, but if I would have been quiet, then I'd be just like you. But all of the Kabbalah, it said right in Kabbalah, having Moishri ha'avain, first you slept the sin b'chavlei hashar with false ropes. And then like the thick ropes that hold the calves together, that's how you sit it. So we started off talking about just a little rope, and then it became a very thick rope. My always a golem rasi. It's a harder, but first starts like a little string, a little safe. But if you get in the habit of repeating the Aveda, is daimel avoisa golem, this thick rope. That in Lamia, the etnol place it. Mia's achais like to the mai. Good question. What do we need? What's the story about achais? Who was she? What's the story about? Timna Bas Malacha, she was a princess. The Chesed says, Aluf Leighton, Aluf Timna, the Chol Aluf Machusa, Taga. Every single thing is a royal family. Not necessarily reigning, but a royal family. Boyle Yehuda, she wanted to Megaya. She wanted to marry into the family. Boss Leis Rabram Yaakov, like Kibbutz, didn't accept her. Holcha Boyce Pelegish, Alifa Ben Esav. She became a Pelegish, Alifa Ben Esav. And Amra Mutat Hashiv Chalum would rather be a maid to this nation of not to be a mistress in somewhere else. Nafik Bina Amalek, and she gave birth to Amalek. The Tzadin saw caused so much pain in Eden. My time, why did we suffer so much? The shouldn't have distanced her. Why talking the distance her? So all the Farshim say because she was a mamzer. Eliphaz actually was a father as well. That's a little hard to understand because if you hold that they were Bnei Yisrael, the moment she's Megayer, doesn't matter what she was as a girl, she's a new person. Unless you hold that they were Bnei Noach, and therefore, and there's Arayis and everything else they don't want. Or because they saw the future, that they saw a Molech coming from her. But that would be the same story as Chizki and Melech. They don't want to get married because they saw Menashe. But the difference is they did get married, just different women. We said we have to marry this woman here, and they married somebody else. Anyway, they don't steal. They don't steal. Why? So Rashi says here, interesting thing. After they harvested the field, everyone's allowed. It's hefker, so that's he waited till then. But unfortunately, I have a hard time saying Rashi because it says very pasuk be make tirachitim, not after, not post that date. Fakert, this is the time when everybody is very mindful. Don't come and trespass because this is. So other ones say the word is that it was a time of wheat. So he took something else. He didn't bring a stalk of wheat. He brought the doy. Daf is something which nobody was taking. That's how you know there was no gezel. They also don't say the Ma'id doy. Rabbi Ruchi Levi Rav says Yibruchi. Levi says Sikim and it says Saviski. And Rashi says they're all different kind of herbs. He doesn't know what they are. We say there's jasmine, other thing, but he doesn't say what it is. But Rashi Chumash says it's jasmine. I think so. Rashi says over here, it's mini, something, whatever it is. Then we're right. I'm able to tell it properly. Is Mesim Shalom b'Pemaya Shemayla Pemaya Shemata. Make Shalom between the heavens and the earth. You're the bridge that brings the two together. It says the bottom then Oz Yarzig b'Mauzi. I will then held on to my strength. Yasser Shalom Li Shalom Yasser. That's why Shalom. Why Shalom? Because between Pemaya Mayla Shemaya Shemata. Rabba says Kilabona Paltin Shemayla. Rav says, why the two dots there? Rav says continuation. It's like you build palaces above and you build palaces below. So it says, that I will place my words in your mouth. I will tell Yodi Kizasicha and Mashara, I will protect you. What you did is you planted the heaven, you planted the earth by learning Torah. You protect the entire world. And it says, that with the shadow and the shade of my hand, I covered you, and Levi says, by learning Torah, you bring forward, and everything, all correct. You also bring forward the Gulish, and it says, you say to Tzion, that it's a very same pasuk, it says, the end of the pasuk, where it says, the Torah Shemayim, it says, you're my nation. In other words, I will reveal myself that you're my nation, because Mashiach will come. If you teach your friend Torah, it's as if you created him. It says, very interesting in Shulchan and Ebenezer, if you get to Mitzvah Puravu by teaching children, we say like your children. As if you created them for learning Torah. So it says, in other words, not like you create them generally, but just you created them for that specific thing. So it says, the Shmart you made them for this bris. Rabba says, you made the person himself. It says, you made yourself. That you made yourself by teaching other people Torah. If you ever convince someone else to cajole someone to do a mitzvah, as if you did as well. It says, Umatcha, and the Abishah tells the Moshe, and that stick, Asher Kisa, and that stick that you struck, the water there in Bishal, I'll take that stick. Moshe, he hit the oil over there by the Makkis. Moshe didn't, we know the first few Makkis Moshe didn't do. He didn't want to be a kafir taiva because he was protected by the Nile. Usually we teach masa forcing. Moshe didn't have to cajole Aaron. Aaron did it, straight away as soon as he was told. I guess just the fact that you asked him to do the mitzvah. Apikatis. Let me just say apikatis. We have megala ponim betoida shloik halacha. We have apikatis. I think quickly. Rab Chanin Amar Tavayu Zeh Hamevazet Hamachachim. Apikatis is not what we normally teach apikatis. Doesn't believe in anything else. We already said somebody doesn't believe in Torah before. This is someone who doesn't treat the Tamachachim correctly. Or he's Mavaza. He insults the Tamachachim. If you live a step lower than that. Hamevazet Chaveira Bifnei Tamachachim. If you insult your friend in front of Tamachachim, it's much worse than stam insulting your friend. Getting back to Mal Mechaber Barabim, that the whole thing we said before, it says Barabim. If you insult your friends privately, it's an Aveda, but it's not considered murder and all those other things that we said before. It's only Barabim. Here, if you do it in front of a Talmud Chacham, awful. The one that says in front of your Talmud Chacham is applicated. So we know that Megala Panuk is one step above that. And what's that? If you Mavaz Talmud Chacham itself, that's much worse. The one who says that applicatus is Mavaz Talmud Atzmai is an applicatus. So what's the example of a Galaponi B'Tosh like Halacha? Menashe ben Chizkiah, who made fun of the Torah. That's Megala When he said, "What Achayis Leitzim Timna?" Who needs to know that? That's one version. Megala on the next case. Megala Ponim B'Torah. What's that? Is Rabbi Amri? This one says Mavaz Talmud Chacham, and Rabbi Yechon Shmuel Levi is Mavaz Es Chaveira Bifnei Talmud Chacham. That's Megala Ponim B'Torah. So now what's not the case? If you Mavaz Chacham itself, and Megala Ponim B'Torah is what? Is a step lower. Mavaz Chaveira Bifnei Talmud Chacham. That's an applicatus. The one who says you insulting your friend in front of Talmud Chacham, Megala Ponim B'Torah, have applicatus game mass. What's applicatus? If you're insulting your friend, is already a Megala Ponim. So what's applicatus? What do the teachers, what do the rabbis help us? Whatever they learn, they keep to themselves. They don't share with us with their knowledge. And that is called an applicatus. I mean, they have a valid taina. If they're saying that they don't want to share their knowledge, so Rashi says, because they don't realize the world is existing because of Talmid Chacham learning Torah. So even though they don't share directly the knowledge with you, they are supporting you indirectly, and you don't appreciate that. In fact, that's worse. That's like a Megala Ponim B'Lagalacha. The Chesiv says, we had more kedushin. If not for the fact that they're learning my Torah day and night, the world not exist. The world not exist. Same thing. Remember, it said, I carry them everywhere because of them. Here we see the tzaddikim support the entire world. And look, you're going to Yosef. So what's an example then? That's Megala Ponim Torah. Yosef kamei rabbi v'nofel shmaita b'duchka acharita. That if you're sitting in front of your Rebbe and you suddenly quote something else, and use the following language. This is what they say, as if in a derogatory way. You don't say, oh, this rabbi said this. You just say, oh, those guys over there. Like the people of Ben Asad, the Omar, Maya Hani Labonim. What's the value of Rabbanan? The Torah says that a raven is treif. They never gave us something that sounds like usher. They never came along and made it mutter. And a dove, which is mutter, they never came an asher. They don't do anything. They're not machmir. They're supposed to be machmir. They're not michael. When these people brought a treifa, he would say, if he saw reasons behind it, he would say, see, something you thought was treif. That's why you came to me with a shaila. I was just matter. You see, the rabbis have. There's no big. I can be matter where I can, and if I ask it, I'm asking because I have no breda. Because otherwise, the time was, whatever. Look, when he came, he says, look, I asked something that you thought was mutter. I asked it. Those rabbis is a derogatory term. Papa Ishi once forgot, he said, he said once, oh, those rabbis, the Asa Betanisa, he sat and fasted to make it up to sugar. Think tomorrow.